But
I know we jest, but in all honesty, one of the significant expenses we do have for fuel in the fall is from the LEAF program, because we are almost entirely in the town, going throughout the town routinely all day, and then we are hauling leaves in the evening back and forth for another 4 to 6 hours out of town to a farm traditionally. So there's a significant amount of mileage wear on the vehicles and as well as the fuel cost.
And
Right. And the overtime.
And overtime,
And people,
yes.
the
Right.
Village Works
And
employees.
I think Lakeshore is charging us a very minimal amount to transport these leaves. It was just this tremendous savings that somebody came up with, probably sitting with a pen and pencil, probably you came up with it. But anyway, kudos to the village for saving a lot of money for something very simple. Back to the mundane, housekeeping. We do need amendment to our code to decrease the number of liquor licenses in the village. Both Lou Melinati's and Hashtags have declined to renew their licenses. Lou Melinati's had a Class P license, and if you remember, we created that. That was carry-out beer and wine from a restaurant. But apparently, and maybe this is fortunately, with the easing of the pandemic restrictions, they apparently do not need this license. Maybe that's a good thing. They're having more in-dining experiences at the restaurant, so they are not renewing their liquor licenses. Hashtags has 4 separate licenses pertaining to their business. They've declined to renew the 4. This has to be mentioned because we are removing the number of liquor licenses from our village code. The next item that I have is the Open Meetings Act. Under the Open Meetings Act, we must determine, on advice of council, approval of the content and release of certain closed meeting minutes, which stay public and which stay closed and which are released to the public. We have to do this every 6 months. Certain meeting minutes involving litigation, real estate, purchases, employment contracts, and employment matters such as discipline can by law be kept closed to the public. So this has been recorded and it's transcribed in the meeting minutes. The meeting minutes have been described in your packets. You can see the update of which remains closed and which meeting minutes are open to the public, and that will be this will be by a resolution that we will have. We also discussed in our, in general terms, we discussed our 2023 budget. We've in the past focused on the budget in November and December, but we are going to be looking at the fiscal year 2023 earlier this year, which I think is interesting. I find the budget fascinating, going through these numbers and where everything is spent and how the dollars really come down from what's collected and what's used, but we are going to be spending some more time on it. We're also going to be focusing on the strategic plan that we did earlier this year and whether or not our budget concerns are following within the strategic plan. I anticipate this will be starting October.
Already sort of is.
Already coming in.
Tonight's report.
Right, we generally discussed some upcoming personnel and IT requests, sponsorship of WISBA events, strategic planning sessions, and whether to have it and how to have it, possibly amending or rewriting republishing the code book, consulting services, separation benefits, and then, of course, insurance and health care costs. So we're going to be getting into those through my committee, and we're going to be starting them much earlier, which I find, again, very, very helpful and very interesting. And then finally, President Gallagher did discuss the Joint Review Board meetings with the North and South Downtown TIF for our earlier presentation that was held this afternoon. Is there anything else which needs to be brought out about that other than the fact that it was had and I believe we went through the numbers earlier?
Right, we held the meeting, and I just wanted to commend staff for the PowerPoint presentation that they put together, which gave a great overview on the use of the TIF, the area of the TIFs, and the use of the TIF money within those areas. And Manager Bear will speak more at length about that in her report, I believe. But it was really very nice to see. It's the first time that we've had a presentation like that at the Joint Review Board, and so wanted to thank Manager Bear and the staff for that, as well as Director Massandona for his reports on the financial status of the TIFs. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all I would have from my committee.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Terrell. And thank you, everyone, for those very informative reports. Appreciated. We'll move on now to the consideration of approval during the special portion meeting of the combined meeting. And first up is a motion to approve the meeting minutes of August 15th, 2022 as read. May I have a motion?
I'd make that motion to approve the meeting minutes of August 15, 2022 as read.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion, changes, additions, deletions? All right, hearing none. Deputy Clerk Haskey, may we have the roll call vote, please?
Yes, Madam President. Trustee Chen.
Aye.
Trustee Singh.
Aye.
Trustee John.
Aye.
Trustee Lewis.
Aye.
Trustee Rudolph.
Aye.
And Trustee Terrell.
Aye.
The August 15th, 2022 meeting minutes are approved.
Thank you. Trustee John, will you introduce the second action item tonight?
Sure. I'd like to propose a motion to approve a license and release hold harmless and indemnification agreement and temporary use permit for the Western Springs Historical Society 2022 Paint the Town plein air event at the Tower Green on Sunday, September 25th, 2022.
Good catch. Is there a second?
Second that?
Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Deputy Clerk Haskey, may we have the roll call vote?
Yes, Madam President. Trustee Chen.
Aye.
Trustee Singh.
Aye.
Trustee John.
Aye.
Trustee Lewis.
Aye.
Trustee Rudolph.
Aye.
And Trustee Terrell.
Aye.
The license agreement and temporary use permit are approved for Sunday, September 25th.
Thank you. Moving on to the reports. First up is my report. At your places tonight are the two candidate resumes and applications for two proposed commissioners for the Recreation Commission. First is the appointment of David Rasmussen, and the second is James Joyce for a 3-year term to expire in September of 2025. If there's no objection, we'll have that on the omnibus vote next meeting. Okay, and now Village Manager Bear?
Thank you. I think I'm going to stand if that's okay.
Sure.
Easier to walk through this. That would put it up on the screen just so I can see a copy. Sorry. I know I need to turn this on. Okay. Is that working? Can you hear me all right? As President Gallagher mentioned earlier this evening, we had the joint review boards for both the North and South TIF, and President Gallagher presided over that meeting. Director Mastandona gave a nice presentation of the funds, as you heard earlier, a synopsis of. But we also talked a little bit about what's been happening in the two TIF districts and what might be upcoming. So I'll just walk you through these really quickly, and some of these are going to look awfully familiar. They're things that we talked about earlier this evening. So first, the first slide is just a reminder of what the TIF boundaries are. There's the north side TIF, which is the longer TIF that you see in yellow, and the south side TIF in blue. Those boundaries are important because they touch along Burlington Northern, and anything within those boundaries is sort of an area that you would be able to apply TIF resources to. This slide outlines the goals that were set when these TIFs were developed. One of the TIFs, the South Side TIF, began in 2015, and the North Side TIF in 2019. But both had similar redevelopment plan goals, integrating creative parking strategies, encouraging renovation of existing commercial buildings, redevelopment of vacant commercial buildings, and incorporating infrastructure and transportation improvements to support redevelopment. All very worthy goals, and all things that we'd like to see happening as we go forward. So first, the South Side TIF. Of course, Foxford Station is sort of the highlight of what's been accomplished in the South Side TIF. This is just a quick summary of what's happened there. Construction was completed in 2019. These are luxury condominiums with first floor retail. Streetscape improvements came along with plantings, concrete pavers, sidewalks, planter beds, benches. It's very nice. We receive compliments on Foxford all the time. It's fully occupied and has been for a while now, and that bodes well for growth in our TIF. Just a note that the developer has an agreement with the village and will be receiving compensation that'll be paid through December of 2038. The East train platform on the south side was also completed in 2018, and it included much of what you see in these pictures. These are recent photos that we took of the area, and you can see the trees and plantings have fully developed. Fencing was installed on this area. ADA compatible accessibility. Director Supert and Deputy Village Manager Bernacki spent a lot of time on these projects, as well as other staff. And again, we receive compliments all the time on this area and how it came to be. The EV charging stations and bike improvements, again, kudos to our staff. This was completed in 2019. It was fully funded with West Suburban Mass Transit District grant funding. There's 2 EV charging stations. The improved bike rack shelter is very popular, especially in this location. And then hardscape improvements and some ADA accessibility was included in this project. This year, we talked a little bit about this. This year ahead, we'd like to do what we did on the opposite side on Hillgrove to these Burlington Avenue planters. As you can see, they're starting to crumble. Some of the trees and plantings have gone by the wayside. Some are just hanging on. These are things that I think Director Supert would like to see improved with interim improvements, providing better walkability in that area until we can do something more substantial. I think the businesses over there are definitely in favor of that. I've talked with several, and they're looking forward to some changes in the coming year. Just a reminder about the Lawn Avenue Streetscape project. That's actually also in the TIF area, and that turned out really nice. It was completed in 2019. As you can see with the at-grade planters, it makes the sidewalk much more walkable, allows for pedestrian traffic in both directions to have a little extra room. In this case, the restaurant, V, participated by adding improvements, and you see the pergola there and the outdoor dining, and that really brought the project together nicely. On the north side TIF, moving to the north side TIF, does anyone have any comments about the south side TIF or anything you want me to touch on? North side TIF, we also had the East Train platform, and again, completed in 2018, included similar elements as the south side TIF. On the north side, they were able to incorporate the walking pathway that you see in that larger photo, which if you've strolled down that direction is really a nice amenity for those who are moving along in that general area. There was a new and improved bike rack system over there that actually included a bike maintenance area where there's basic tools for repairs for your bicycle. Great for commuters, great for people passing through, and I think that's been really well received. That project utilized STP funds, the Surface Transportation Program grant, as well as local funds to match. 514 Hillgrove, you're all aware of. It is coming along. 2 first-floor commercial spaces with 10 residential condominiums is coming forward. There's streetscape improvements that are pending, as well as the developer has now requested a TIF economic incentive agreement, which will be under review by the village board in coming weeks, maybe? Prospect Avenue is also on the north side, completed in 2019, a concrete reconstruction, including new curb and gutter, storm sewer separation. Prospect Avenue, a portion of this project is in the TIF just based on its location. Hillgrove Avenue, this is what we were talking about earlier. These are the planter removals that were done as an interim improvement, and huge kudos to Municipal Services Public Works Division. They came in and did this in-house this year. I think it's made a big difference. If you haven't been out, there's quite a lot of floral happening over there, and it looks really, really nice. I think the businesses there have been happy that they had those planter boxes removed. This, again, is an interim improvement that would be changed when we did a larger streetscape project. Tower Green improved outdoor seating. We had 3 sets of tables and chairs that were put together for us in 2019. We see people out using those all the time. This year, the board approved a couple of months ago the purchase of additional sets, and those should be delivered early fall. So we hope to have those in and make that an even more inviting place to be. The west underpass, on the north side TIF, the underpass is actually inside the TIF. So we would consider this a project that has made a real market improvement down in this area. You're all aware of the west underpass, so I won't go into it too much, but this replaces that at-grade crossing and provides ADA accessibility. We think this is a really smart connection that the village board authorized us to advance on, the connection between Spring Rock Park and the pool and theater and rec center campuses. It really will make a huge difference, and I think we'll see some of that this winter, but I think in full form in the spring and summer, you'll start to see how much traffic this does attract. We just walked through this project earlier. Tesca's been updating our downtown streetscape plan, and I won't go into this further because you heard a whole presentation, but again, this is North Side TIF. And then the Village Hall site, and I just want to take a moment to talk about this. It's something President Gallagher has been working on with us over the last few months, really in earnest. The Village Hall and Fire Station properties are sort of prime redevelopment possibilities for the North Side TIF. Conceptual meetings have been held. We actually had some significant interest from developers that we were talking to. I'm just sort of picking their brain, getting a little free advice on what they think this site could be. We expect to make some significant progress in this in the coming months. There's certainly site challenges here. We have a well that sits on this property. And so that's something that we certainly need to continue to review. Most developers don't seem daunted by those types of things. So it's something that we will continue to work on. Williams Architects, as you know, is a sub-consultant for Baxter Woodman as part of our larger capital infrastructure plan. Williams Architects staff is currently reviewing these facilities to help us better understand the maintenance needs of both the Village Hall, police station areas, as well as Fire Station 1. And then that will help the board weigh the decision as to whether to keep these facilities, keep them long-term, keep them in this place, or relocate and potentially redevelop this site. And then the facade improvement program. This is really applies to both the north and south TIF. And I left it for the end because there's a lot here, and I think probably something that we'll be bringing through the committee cycle, but just wanted to introduce it. It's something that former Community Development Director Scott had been working on for quite some time, and we will be advancing it as part of an overall look for the downtown. But it's something that needs to be redefined by the board in terms of whether you want this to be a grant, a rebate, a low or no interest loan. There's a lot of options with a facade improvement program, but it's definitely something that will help advance sort of those aesthetic changes that you may want to see in critical areas within the two TIFs. And that is it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
I don't have any questions, but that is, I think, very, very impressive.
Isn't it?
Able to
Yeah.
use all of TIF's funds in 6, 7 years tops, all of these things with TIF funds. That's very impressive what the village staff has done.
So
those
most,
improvements?
most of those were paid for by the village through either grants or with local matches without using the TIF dollars. But they are things that if we have enough increment that comes in, the village could repay itself for the money invested through our other funds.
Great report, thank you. I have nothing else.
Okay, thank you. Excellent report. And Attorney Jerusik, do you have a report this
I will
evening?
have a short report, none.
That's the kind of report I like. Does anyone have any other business or new business to discuss? Okay, hearing none, may I have a motion to recess to close meeting?
Yes, I would have that motion to recess to close meeting for the purposes of discussion of the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of a specific employee or legal counsel pursuant to 5 Illinois compiled statute 120/2C1, and the setting of a price for sale or lease of property owned by the village pursuant to 5 Illinois compiled statute 120/2C6.
Thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Thank you. I just want to announce that when we approve the movement into closed session, when we come back, we will reconvene and have one action item after our closed session. So, Deputy Clerk Haskey, may we have the roll call vote on this, please?
Yes, Madam President. Trustee Chen?
Aye.
Trustee Zink?
Aye.
Trustee John?
Aye.
Trustee Lewis?
Aye.
Trustee Rudolph?
Aye.
And Trustee Terrell?
Aye.
We are recessed at 8:53 PM to close meeting.
Thank you. And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. an email from Bill Rodiger. We have the caucus executive committee meeting on Wednesday. If you're available to attend, please do. We have Nicole Chen and Al Fink and James John, all their term ends. So Nicole and Al have said that they will re-up, but James, I'm putting you on the spot.
So I think I am going to pass.
Okay.
Just a couple things, right? Kids are at an age right now where I get to 11 and 13-year-old. My wife started a new practice, which has taken a lot more time than
Sure.
I had expected. And also changed jobs where I'm now 45 miles away. So getting back and forth on a
And
timely
you
basis.
travel a lot, I
Yes,
know.
so,
Yeah.
I
Oh,
was going to pull you aside at the end of this meeting, but you know.
Sorry.
I was like,
I,
but I mean, it's been wonderful, and I mean, I still got 6 more months or 8 more months or whatever, however many more months it is.
Right.
But it's just maybe just got to be a little bit
too much.
too much.
Yeah.
So
Well, it was a tough time. COVID, 5G, tough time to be a trustee.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. But appreciate your service, so thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Hope you're not mad at me.
Of course not. I understand completely, so, yeah. So anyway, but if you're available Wednesday to attend that meeting at 7, please do. And thanks again, guys, for signing on again. Appreciate it. Yeah. You're both, everyone is an excellent trustee. Very fortunate to have you all on the board.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It's one of the main selling points when I talk to people
Oh.
about working here.
Okay, Dan's all set, so we'll go back into the open meeting, and Deputy Clerk Haskey, can you just ascertain everyone is still here?
Everyone is still present.
Thank you. And then this comes out of which committee? This comes out of Al's committee, so Al, can you please?
It comes out of properties and
Properties
rec.
and
Oh, I apologize. Okay,
I'm
Trustee
like,
Chen,
I've been involved with
please.
this longer than Alan's been involved.
Please, if you would motion up our agenda item number 3.
I know, can you give me a second? Is it on the closed?
It's on
Okay, thank
page
you. Oh,
4.
right, it's on our actual, okay.
Yes.
Okay, I would make a motion to direct village attorney to order title report and plat of right-of-way vacation and to prepare an alley right-of-way vacation ordinance with certain easement reservations for the right-of-way vacation petitioner Ed Rosenberg, 4241 Linden Avenue property, 16-foot by 130-foot alley right-of-way vacation, approximately 2,080 square feet, at a per square foot dollar cost to be announced at the village board meeting for an acquisition price to be announced at the village board meeting.
So if you could just say at a price of $19.50.
Okay, so I do fill that in.
Sure.
Okay. Per square foot dollar cost at $19.50.
Perfect.
Okay.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
You got a second me, you're in my.
Thank you. May we have a roll call vote, please?
What?
Aye.
Trustee Zane,
Aye.
trustee John,
Aye.
trustee Lewis,
Aye.
trustee Rudolph,
Aye.
and trustee Zero.
Aye.
That motion passes.
Thank you. May I have a motion to adjourn?
I'd have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ladies and gentlemen, we stand adjourned.
Oh,
Thank you.
man, thank you.
Yeah, long one. Woo.
Our business tonight.
A lot of work, a lot of good stuff.
Good
A
work.
lot of good stuff.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
You're not done with us yet.
I'm not. I'm not.
You have to go all the way to next year.
That's fine.